Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodananda Grant His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Chilo Prabhupada Ki Jaya Vishupad Parahamsa Paripacharya Stota Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Pranta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Maya Pradam Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Today we are going to be discussing a topic that many of us struggle in our day-to-day lives. Sometimes it's known, sometimes it's not known, and we want to address how we can help our minds. So if there are, Jidmitra, can you go check if there are devotees outside or downstairs who are not in service to come upstairs for the class, please? Thank you. So today's topic is the mind. Is it our friend or enemy? There are a lot of yoga studios in the world. And all those yoga studios, all the yoga practitioners, they always teach us how to improve our health to achieve peace of mind. But the same yoga studio places do not teach us what is the real purpose of the yoga system. It's one of those preaching techniques, breathing techniques, you know, that will help the health, but it doesn't give us the ticket back to Godhead. It's a temporary solution. Srila Prabhupada said that the purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from attachment to the sense objects. That is the purpose of the yoga system. So all those yoga studios, you know, the breathing techniques, this and that, it is not going to help us control the mind. It'll improve the health, but it's not going to help us control the mind, and it's not going to help us, definitely will not help us to detach from our attachments. Because they don't have the science. They don't have the science of the higher philosophy. We do. If we think about our book distributors, you know, Prasad Prabhu, Nitya Gopal Prabhu, when they go out and they distribute books, what do they say? Yoga for the mind, mantra meditation, because they got the real book in their hand that's going to give them the peace of mind. They got the real book in the hand that is going to tell them how to achieve, how to control the mind and draw it away from attachment. The yoga studios won't give us that. So Srila Prabhupada came to teach us the real yoga system. So the question here is, not the question, the dilemma is, we take the mind as a friend. Sometimes it's like our best friend, when it's not our best friend. Sometimes it can be our enemy and we don't even know that it's our enemy. For example, if the mind says, buy this, you definitely need this, and immediately we act on what the mind says. We don't give it some thought. Do I really need it? But I have enough of it, so why do I need another one, right? But the mind has learned our weakness. that it will just make us act instantly without telling us to say, you know what, think about it. Do you really need it? So we haven't learned, sometimes we're not aware that we have to say, wait, let me think, do I need it? Or is my mind telling me to get it? So even the mind can play what we call mind games. And the mind is very good at that. It will tell us to play all kinds of mind games and will not help us to surrender to the higher purpose. For example, if we have an exam, I think some of our college kids here have midterms coming up in a couple of weeks, right? And there's so much to study. So when they have exams, there are certain actions they cannot do. Staying out late, hanging out late, being on the phone. They got to cut down some actions, because if they don't cut down on some actions, they're going to suffer in their exams. So during the exam time, they will learn only during the exam time. Sadly, after the exam is back to square one, right? During the exam time, they will learn what activities is not going to help me pass my exam and what activities will help me pass my exam. That's when they make a lot of changes, only for the 2 weeks. And after the exam is done, they're like, okay, now I'm free, but I can go out and have a jolly good time, and so until the next exam happens again, right? But at least we have learned the technique that during the exam time, we have to make those sacrifices. Delete and add. So we apply that same technique in our spiritual life. The same technique. It's actually not rocket science. It's not like someone has to come and tell us how to do it. It's the same technique. We just forget to use what we learned in our material life and add it in our spiritual life. That's it. So what is the method? We know we do it during the exam time. You can go to the next slide. So what is the method? So let's open up Bhagavad-gita chapter 6, verse 6. If you have the cell phones, you can pull up on the database, and if not, Rohin is going to pass out the Bhagavad-gita verse. And the answer is actually in the Bhagavad-gita. What are the weaknesses and how to control the mind? See, all the solution is actually in the Bhagavad-gita if we only take the time to read and understand it. So if we turn to chapter 6, verse 6 of Bhagavad-gita. And Krishna says how to make the mind our friend and not our enemy. So I'll chant the Sanskrit 3 times and you can repeat after me. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenat vatmanajita anatmanastu satrutve varte tatmaiva satruvat bandhur atmamanastasya yenatmaivatmanajita anatmanastu satrutve varte tatmaiva satruvat bandhur atmamanastasya yenatmaivatmanajita anatmanastu satrutve vate tatmaiva satruvat. We'll go to the translation by Srila Prabhupada. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Let's repeat. For him who has conquered the mind, the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. The purport. I don't have it up, so you'll have to look at the book on the cell phone. The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and his mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Next slide. So here, we want to ask ourselves, okay, we know that we can apply the methods that we use when we're in school, when it's exam time. But what is that method? So in school, we know that when it's exam time, we have to identify what distracts us. So in our material life, in our everyday, day-to-day life, we want to identify what are the weaknesses that distracts us. What is distracting me from making the mind my friend? We don't think about this, but sometimes attachment to relatives, holidays, gifts can entangle us. And you might ask, but Anasuya, why is that so? Well, especially now we're getting into the holiday season, right? Or birthdays. You'll say, oh, if I stayed home, my family would sing happy birthday to me, they'll bring me a cake, they'll buy me gifts, they'll take me out and tell me how great person I am, all the glorification. But here am I on the streets selling Prabhupada's books, and nobody on the street knows it's my birthday. We've gone through that. Or for example, we go to work, right? We wake up in the morning, it's my birthday, my wife greeted me, my husband greeted me, my kids gave me gifts, they made me pancakes for breakfast, and they're going to take me out for dinner. But I go to office and no one knows it's my birthday, and then they treat me like trash. We are attached to wanting to be glorified. And there's another situation where, we say, but I did not achieve my dreams. If only I went to grad school, or I went to become a PhD, I could have earned more money and became a professor, or became something. My life's dreams, like if I did that, I would have gotten better. And what's better? More money. That's a weakness. All those thoughts, the mind is telling us, if you went on, you could have become this. You could have achieved your life's dreams. What your neighbor had, you could have had, all that good stuff. Or another thing is material possessions. We'll say, you see, this person had that because he went and got his master's degree. I'm only sitting in bachelor's. We all have had those thoughts. Or this person chose this field of education, not that field. If I chose that field, I would have gotten more money to get more, more material possessions. We go to those thoughts every single time. Sometimes, and this happens, believe it or not. It's not just a fairy tale or, just a story, but it's actually happened. Where temple devotees, when they're living in the temple, they have this beautiful, blissful life of Krishna consciousness, living very simply, brahmacharis or brahmacharinis with 2 saris and 2 dhoti, 2 kukurtas, sleeping on the floor, very happily serving, and all of a sudden they receive a letter and they said, oh, your grandmother passed away and she left you huge inheritance. Right? And we'll say, oh, I can use that in Krishna's service. But then the more we think, we said, no. I'll give Krishna 80%, I'll keep 20%. And then we'll say, no. Let's do 70-30. Then we'll say, no. Let's do 60-40. Then at the end we'll say, but then we'll start, the mind will say, but you need this. The mind starts justifying. Then you'll say, I'll keep the whole thing for myself. Krishna is actually already opulent anyway. He's all opulent, so I'll keep all the opulence to myself because he's all opulent. The mind is feeding all these thoughts, right? And gradually what happens? Maya says, aha, this is how I can take this person away from devotional service. Gold and wealth, I have to build up more gold and more wealth. Next. Again, we compare the house, we compare the cars, and the list goes on and on. We always want to live, as they say in America, like the Joneses. We want to live like our neighbors. We gauge our status as per the people living in our community, in our families, in our this and our that. And then we get pressured. This person has this, how come you don't have this? This person has, how come you don't have this? Your cousin has gotten married, you haven't gotten married. All kinds of pressure. But that is the weakness. That is how Maya puts the weakness in our hearts. So if we have to know our weakness. If we don't know our weakness, we cannot protect ourselves. It's very, very important that we know what is our weakness. If we don't know our weakness, we cannot protect ourselves. So it's very important that we recognize what is my weakness. What is distracting me? And be honest about it. Be really honest about it. Like in a boxing match or in any sport, whether it be tennis, football, any game you play, the opponent will take advantage of the other person's weak spot and strike you right there. They learn the art. This person is standing this way, I can hit him on this corner. They have learned the science of how to fire back at the opponent. So we have to learn our weakness. So then we ask ourselves, and I get this question a lot, sometimes from devotees, but honestly, but why is Maya always giving us headache? Why is she always distracting me? Well, what is Maya's duty? Is she our friend or our enemy? Let me ask you all, is Maya our friend or our enemy? So she's our friend. Anybody who works for Krishna is our friend, right? It's not our enemy. It's a trick question. Because you know why? I'll tell you why. We have seen so many of those demoniac two-horn-headed devils in the cartoons. So we think, oh, Maya is this red and black person with, ugly-looking teeth, and she has 2 horns sticking on her head, and she's coming with a trident to kill me. No, she's not. She's actually Maya's friend. She's just a servant of the Lord. So anybody who is a servant of the Lord is our friend. She's not our enemy. But the duty of Maya is grow, not fall. It's our choice whether we want to grow or whether we want to fall. That's our choice. But her duty is to help us to grow. She's testing our weakness. Every day, she's always testing our weakness. And she knows our weakness so well. In fact, she knows our weakness, but we don't know our weakness. The reason being is we are not honest to define what is my weakness. We are not able to detect what is my weakness. But Maya knows our weakness. But we don't know our weakness. So she is testing our weakness to determine, are we ready? Are we ready to surrender? So she'll keep on testing and testing, and she'll use all kinds of, strategies. You know, all kinds of ways to test and test and test and ask to see, are we ready to surrender? So I'll tell you a quick story. There was a devotee who had been practicing for 20 years. Very staunch devotee. Very, very staunch. Practicing for 20 years. And he always thought, you know, I've been practicing for 20 years. I have been doing devotional service. I have been chanting my 16 rounds. I have eaten 5 tons of prasadam in 20 years. I have gotten everything. I will not fall. Maya will not get me. What do you think? Will Maya get him or not? Definitely. Because he's proud that I have been chanting 16 rounds, I've eaten 5 tons of prasadam, I have been doing this, that. Maya will not get me. So what happened is, devotee, one day, he saw his mind going, ooh, this thing's attracting me, that thing's attracting me. His mind was going on a world trip cruise, lack of a better word. Why is that so? Because Maya is checking him. Okay, after 20 years you have been practicing, let me see how serious you are. So I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you. So he gets tested. So she throws all these things in his mind. Is he able to avert, or is he going to go and get sucked in to the weakness? So Maya is always testing us. Are we still serious? After 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the list goes on. Are we still serious? And are we still sincere? Jitmata, can you wait for a quick second? I need to ask you something, please. Are we still serious? Are we still sincere? Are we still proud of what we have done? 1 minute, excuse me. Where? 4 of them. You know, so he's always testing us. Are we serious? Are we serious? Are we serious? Are we still sincere after 20 years? So wherever we are weak, give that place extra attention. Always give it extra. Don't take it for granted. Give it extra attention. Never take it for granted. Very dangerous. Once we take it for granted, then we'll think that is when Maya will come in and test us for the worst. So we always have to have our guards on. Always up. Never let it down. Always have our guards up. So in the budding stages of growth. So when we are trying to recognize our weakness, we have to make sure that we avoid certain environment. So we have to ask ourselves, you know, if I'm in this environment, it affects me. Recognize it. Don't brush it off. If we are in this certain environment, this affects me. If we're in that environment, this affects me. If we're in this environment, that affects me. Don't brush it off. When we brush it off, that's when Maya gets in. That's when Maya gets in. we have to be very, very careful that we don't brush it off. Very important. So we have to recognize, if I'm in this environment, this what happens, this what disturbs my mind. So I shouldn't be in that environment. I should be in a safer environment. And there are certain friends we cannot be friends with. As they say, right? If we hang out with alcoholics, we'll naturally pick up that habit of drinking. So that there are certain friends that we shouldn't be in that environment, because then we can get sucked in to that kind of association. Will it be a loss? Yeah, initially. But the choice is, do we want to feel that we are at loss, or do we want to feel that we're going to become stronger? That's a choice we have to make. And sadly, there are certain relatives we have to avoid. It's a tough one. Because relatives, Harival, so for relatives, we feel obligated. We feel pressured. My father taught me a very nice tool. He says, arm length distance. Certain relatives, you have an arm length. You know if it's going to disturb your Krishna consciousness. And certain relatives, if it's not going to disturb you, that's okay. Arm length distance is a choice we have to make. The tougher the choice it is with relatives, the more it's tougher to become serious in Krishna consciousness. I have experienced it, and I still go through it. I am not an exception. I still go through it. There are certain relatives in my family where my dad expects me to be close, and I said, no, I'm not going to, because it's just too much drama. I don't have time for drama, because the drama just makes me tired. It affects my consciousness, it affects my mind, it disturbs me, and I don't want to be in that environment. And I outright tell my dad that. He won't agree, but I said, Dad, I'm sorry, but I just cannot be in that environment. It's just too much drama. And that's one thing, me and my sister, we go back and forth and we say to each other, I'm so glad that my family is so small, just my mom, my dad, me and my sister, that's it. I don't come from a family of 8, 9, 10 sisters, thank God. It's just me and my sister, and we both are very simple. In fact, my sister is worse than me. She literally doesn't deal with any relatives. She says, you'd call and you'd give me the news. That's what she tells me. She will not. Because she goes, I don't have time for drama. And that's what it is. Relatives means drama. So we have to be firm. Do we want to be involved in the drama or not? And sometimes we have to tell the relatives, I will come, I will see you, but do not pull me in your drama. 1 hour and I'm going. Tata, bye-bye. And if you do not, and if they don't respect you, then so sorry, okay? I'll see you after 1 year for next Diwali. Case closed. We have to be firm. Do we want our Krishna consciousness to go down or to go up? And who's affecting us? It's a tough. Giving up relatives is a very, very difficult thing. It's very difficult, but it's a choice that we want to make. And in the budding stages, we have to choose right behavior. What will help us to grow? What will help us to make our mind our friend? Right behavior, right friends, and the safe environment. If we have these three, the mind will become our friend, not our enemy. It all depends on the behavior, the environment, and the people we are around. It's very, very, it's a challenge. I mean, it's definitely a challenge. I remember when my first daughter was very, I don't know whether I share this or not, but when my first daughter was very little, I think about 1 year old or something, my parents are Christians, and they still are, my family. I was raised in a Christian family. And my father is an ordained church minister. So he would always try to sneak in, Christianity to my kids when they were small. And my kids being so innocent, they'll come and tell me, Amma, this is what Grandpa gave me. I said, fine, put it aside. So they would do it behind my back, And I know that's what they are doing. So I remember one time, I think Manoharini must have been, 18 months or 2 years old. I was very adamant. And I was strictly told my mother, I said, if you continue to do so, and you're not going to respect what I do, my belief, what I do, and because I'm not imposing me on you, so I would expect that you don't impose you on myself, but if you're not going to respect it, you won't see your granddaughter. Plain and simple. And that was their first and only granddaughter. So I found the strategy, I had to find the weaknesses, right? I found the weak point. So I told her, I said, if you do not respect, you won't see your granddaughter. And she told my dad. And after that, they were all good. They stopped. I had to do it because I did not want to confuse my child, and I did not want to they had to disturb myself too. So I had to be, very firm. And that was it. And they tried after that. They kept on. But I will remind her, Amma, you remember what I told you? And she tries, and I keep reminding her. After they got 6 years old, they stopped. Now my dad said, whatever. They gave up. We have to stick to the grounds. Pick the right behavior, the right friend, the right environment to make the mind our friend. See, the mind is a creature of habit. Whatever we have done in the past, it gets stored in our minds, right? If you think about it, why does our mind go back to the past? Oh, I did this in high school, this is my friend. It's stored. Whatever we have done in the past, all the actions, it was stored in our mind. So it's a default setting. Our mind has a default setting of what happened in the past. So naturally, whatever we did in the past is going to come in the future to test us. For example, I'll use a very material example. For example, if a person was a drinker before they became a devotee, heavy drinker, right? And they give up drinking when they join the movement and they become devotees. Practicing, pakka, firm, constant, chanting, service, 5 years go by, 10 years go by, 15 years go by, 20 years go by, and he meets a high school friend that he used to go drinking. And the high school friend says, you want to go for happy hour? And you're like, remember the good old days, Joe? We used to go out every Friday evening. Come on, Joe. You miss those days? Let's go. Maya starts thinking, oh, yeah. Okay, I won't drink, but we'll hang out. That's how it starts. So we go for happy hour. I have orange juice. You have your liquor, right? It starts. Then what happens is, the person who is if your drinker smells the liquor. Oh yeah, I remember the smell of that liquor, the good old days, I'll have a sip, I'm not breaking anything, whatever. That is how Maya starts. What we have done in the past will come in the future to test us again. So any of our weaknesses in the past that we have consistently or constantly or very much involved in will come back in the future to test us again to see, are we still sincere and serious? That is what we call the mind has a default settings. I'm telling this mind, think of the mind separate from the body. It's inside us, but it's actually separate. It's telling us what to do and what not to do, but it's always telling us not to do the bad things, naturally. And it'll remind us what we did in the past. All our weaknesses come from the past, and then we wonder, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing this? Because it comes from the past. We did it 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So that's our weakness. So it's going to come up again 20 years later to see, did we honestly, seriously, genuinely resolve it, or did we put a band-aid job over that weakness? Did we honestly deal with the weakness, or did we just say, okay, let me put a band-aid and just, and then underneath the wound is still there. That's a scar, but the band-aid is covering it. Did the scar go away? That's the mind. It's pretty crazy creature. Pretty crazy. So, but can we cut off the mind from the body? Can we cut off the mind from our body? Can you chop the mind, get out of my body? We can't do that. Just as we cannot cut off our children when our children do something wrong. When our kids do wrong, do we say, get out of the house and don't come back? We never say that, right? We will help them to deal with the issue. Same thing with the mind. We cannot cut off the mind. When the child does something wrong, we don't tell the child to get out of the house. We correct the child, we train the child, we parent the child. Same thing with the mind. We cannot cut the mind out of the body, but we can correct the mind, train the mind, and parent the mind to be our friend. Treat the mind like a child, like how we treat our children. We can't cut it off. So similarly, we need to learn, next slide, kiddo, how to train the mind. We need a working relationship with the mind. Does the term sound familiar? Working relationship? We need a working relationship with the mind. Now, don't forget, the mind is its own creature, its own entity, okay? So we need to work with the mind. Okay, you know what? I'll meet you halfway, you meet me halfway. Let's have an agreement here, okay? Now, how do we have a working relationship with the mind? 3 functions. Thinking, feeling, willing. First, we have to watch the thoughts of our mind. Next slide. What is going on in my mind? Think, what is going on in my mind? We have to be very aware what thoughts are coming into my mind, what's happening into my mind, why are these thoughts coming up? We have to ask very powerful, powerful questions. Next slide, pumpkin. What am I doing? Talk to the mind like it's an entity. Talk to the mind like it's a creature. So ask the mind, what are you doing to me? Ask your mind, why are you telling me this? Like literally catch your mind. Why am I doing this? Why are you telling me this? Ask powerful questions. Next. Do I need it or do I want it? We have more wants and less needs. Because the industry is out there as such, unfortunately, is giving us more reasons to want and less reasons for needs. I want. It is never I need. It's I want, right? That's Kali Yuga, that's the industry. So we have to ask the mind, do I need it or do I want it? Next. Spiritual solutions for material problems. The mind can be engaged in spiritual solutions to solve our material problems. We sometimes forget that. When the mind says, do this, do that, you're like, no, let me go chant my rounds. There are many instances in the past. I don't do that now with some of my co-workers, thank God. But there are some issues that I had with my co-workers when I get so frustrated. The mind is going all over the thoughts. What I do is I said, you know what? The heck with the laptop. I'm taking my japa. I'm getting out of the house. I need to breathe. So I take my bead bag. I go on a long japa walk. And I had to let go of that energy and just chant and ask the Lord, calm this mind down. It's going crazy. That's what we have to do. Spiritual solutions for material problems. Whenever we see the thoughts getting crazy, run to the Lord. Run to the Lord. Like, ask really powerful questions. Next. Right questions. When we ask the right questions, we can save our life. When we ask the right questions, we can save our life. No doubt about that. We have to be ask the right question. Do I need it? Do I want it? What am I doing? Why are you telling me to do this? Why should I go there? When the mind says something, stop for a moment and think. And say, okay, do I need it? Do I want it? Why are you telling me to do this? Go through the step-by-step process. And if you don't find a solution, the best one is take a bead bag, go for a japa walk, and just rest that mind and tell the mind to keep quiet. It's the best solution. Coming back feeling so refreshed. And then we can think clearly. Always helps. Always helps. Next. Direct the thoughts to spiritual activities. Direct the thoughts to something spiritual, not something material. See, what happens is whenever we go through material issues, we try to do something material to find the answer. No. Direct the mind to spiritual activities. Then only we'll find the right answer. Engaging the mind and the senses, then only we'll get the right answers. Directing the mind. Work with the mind, like how you are turning something in a car, like you're turning a machine. You got to work with the mind and you got to turn it. You got to turn it. You got to jack it up. You got to wake it up. You got to slap it once in a while. You got to kick it once in a while. You got to do it. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, no. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says every time, what's the Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, every morning get up and knock the bread with the shoes. He knows something. Because the man's a rascal. Get up in the morning, take the chappal, and bang, 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 bang. Because the man's a rascal. It's going to give you excuses. That's what it's meant to do. So that is enough to tell us that this mind is to be controlled. Right? Like, for example, we're talking about the mind, and some of us on the cell phones. Amazing. Look how the mind is such a rascal. We are talking about the mind, and right now we're on the cell phone surfing, answering to text messages. You see, the mind is such a rascal. How quickly it can deter us. Power of the mind is very dangerous. Next slide. Feeling. Motion brings emotions. Let me ask you a question. When we are upset, raise your hand and try to remain frustrated. What do you think will happen? Will you remain frustrated? Nah. You know why? The hand's going to hurt. You want to rest your hand down. Then you know what? I'm so tired. I don't have time for being upset because I'm tired. My hand is up the whole time. Change the motion to bring emotion. Like what this girl did. You change the feeling. When we are frustrated, when we are angry, when the mind is being a rascal, chant. Look at this girl. Look at her emotions. Look at her eyes. Right? Look at her eyebrow. Look at her lips. She's like showing intensity. Hari bol. Draupadi did that. When she was about to be disrobed, even her husbands didn't save her. What to speak of the elders in the court? And she threw her hands up. And she surrendered to the Lord. And she had full faith that Krishna would save her. That's exactly what happened. This girl is showing us the same thing. When we change the motion, it brings new emotions. So change the bodily posture. When we change the bodily posture, it changes the state of mind. But the problem is sometimes we like to be sad and depressed and long-faced. You know why? Because we want someone to say, Mataji, are you okay? You're like, aha, I got attention now. Because I was depressed the whole time. Happens. Believe it or not. I've seen everything. Yeah. Sometimes we just purposely limp. A little cut. We can walk normally, but we want someone to ask us, are you okay? And half an hour, we walk normally. Just wanted their attention. Because no one noticed me. Someone must notice me. Change the bodily posture, that will change the mind. Sometimes we focus so much on ourselves that we forget the world around us. It's always good to wake up in the morning and say, you know what, just for today, let me focus on someone else, not on myself. As it is every day, I'm focusing on myself anyway. Day in and day out. So for today, let's do something different. Let me focus on someone else. 50 years, I think about myself. Think about my bills. Think about my family. Think about my children. Think about paying this one. Today, let me think of someone else. I mean, don't we spend so much time thinking about ourselves and our family, our children, our bills, our this, our car, our house, the dryer, the washer, the bathroom, this one. That's the whole life we think about. How much do we think about someone else? For a change, think of someone else and see how the day ends. Change the feeling. Srila Prabhupada says we need to be vigilant, very vigilant regarding the illusory energy because it can drag us at any time. We should have a healthy fear for Maya. Very, 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 very healthy fear. We can't afford to be lazy. Oh, I'm okay. I've been chanting for 20 rounds. I've been chanting for 20 years. I've eaten 5 tons of prasadam. All I eat is just prasadam. I've honored all of, Lord Krishna's, grasugullas every evening offering and gulab jamuns. I got the Mahaprasad. Nothing will happen to me. Those are the ones that will slip in a second. Because we think, I've been chanting, I'm purified. I had Mahaprasad, I'm purified. Doesn't happen that way. We get tested again. We should have a very, very healthy fear for Maya. Next, when there is a will, there is a way. Do we have the willingness to really want to fight the mind? If we really want to make the mind our friend, there is a way. The choice is, do we want it to make a friend, not our enemy? So how do we make our mind the friend? Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, chapter 6, verse 35, conquer Akraman. Now we hear in Mahabharata and Ramayana and Vishnu Puran, Akraman. Yeah, conquer, attack. How do we attack? Bhagavad-gita, chapter 6, verse 35, Srila Prabhupada says 2 main things, practice and detachment. Very simple. Practice and detachment. Practice what? Practice Krishna consciousness by engaging the mind in the 9 types of devotional service. And what is the first devotional service? Shravanam. Prabhupada says, hearing is the first. I'm quoting Prabhupada verbatim. If you open chapter 6, verse 35 in the purport, it's not my words, copy paste Prabhupada. Prabhupada says the first and the foremost of such devotional engagement is hearing about Krishna. So we have to ask ourselves, how much do I hear about Krishna in a week? Let's count. How much? For some of us, it's just one hour on Sunday program. That's it. If I'm not mistaken, I think there are 168 hours in a week, if my math is correct. Right? Approximately, that's how I do my billing for my work. So it must be 168 hours. Out of 168 hours, some of us only 168. So my math is so good. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. So out of 168 hours, some of us only hear 1 hour a week. So then what are we hearing the balance 167 hours? Some of us might be doing it 2 hours a week. Then what about the 166 hours? Numbers sounds big, isn't it? Scary, huh? But what about the 160 hours? What about the 150 hours? Start thinking, how much are we hearing about Krishna in a week? That's the reason why that's why the hearing is the first and foremost. Because out of the 1 hour, the rest of the 67 hours, we're not doing anything. No hearing, no chanting, no service, no sadhu sangha. It goes down, 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 down. Hearing is the foremost. Very important, Prabhupada says. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws us away from Krishna. Practice. Vairagya. Detachment. Imagine the number of hours we are hearing. Shravanam, 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 Shravanam. The more we hear, the more we have the taste for chanting. The less we hear, we won't have the taste for chanting. It doesn't work. It goes simultaneously. It's just like hunger, right? The feeling of satisfaction in a hungry man is when he eats even each morsel. Wow, one gulab jamun, wow. And then they just satisfy and they enjoy every grain in that gulab jamun. And the more he eats, the more he's satisfied. The more we eat, I know some of us can eat more than one gulab jamun. Sometimes we can eat a whole bowl of gulab jamun, whatever's our favorite sweet. But we relish it. The more we eat, for some of us, the more we eat, the more we are not satisfied. Right? Because we want more. But the more we eat, the more we become satisfied. Same thing. The more we are performing devotional service, the more we want to be engaged more in devotional service. So how do we conquer? Practice Krishna consciousness by engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing. The more we hear, the mind becomes our friend. And engage in devotional service, which will help us to be more detached from anything that's material. And I know devotees, I've witnessed devotees who have been engaging in so much service to the point that even if they have little to nothing, they're very happy. They're very happy. Because why? All of them just serve, 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 serve. That is the treatment of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says, hearing of the activities of the Lord is the expert treatment for the mad mind. Expert treatment. Just hearing about the Lord is the expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating foodstuff offered to the Lord is the right diet for a suffering patient. Imagine that. Suffering patient. So the treatment is Krishna consciousness. Very easy. So a controlled mind is a friend. An uncontrolled mind is the enemy. So if we want the mind to be our friend, if we want to grow in spiritual life, if we want peace, if we want happiness, if we want to be detached and become attached to Krishna, we have to do everything to make the mind our friend. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any questions, any comments, any takeaways? If there isn't, I have questions and comments. Haribol Naveen.
Thank you for the
Hari
class.
Haribol.
No, I was thinking at one point you were talking about working relationship with the mind, right? And then, yeah, you kind of give example that, really, you have to kind of negotiate a little bit, right? Like you can't just kind of, okay, mind, day one, this is what we're doing, bus, right? Just like a child, you cannot just say, okay, this is it, and you don't expect any misbehavior ever. You have to kind of work. So so I liked that idea that it's really, like you have to treat, like you were saying, the mind is another entity and manage that relationship and kind of say, okay, hey, this is really important. Okay, well, if I do this for you, we'll do this, you have to kind of, and then gradually, discipline. So
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's completely a negotiation situation. Drawing a business agreement with the mind, saying, okay, I'll work with you if you do this, and I'll do this if you do this, and I'll do this, and slowly, you win over the mind. But in the beginning, it's going to be a negotiating process. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Very nice, very nice takeaway. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Okay, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hita Guru Chandra ki, Janmabhai Subhadra ki, Jai.
This is just, I've also heard,
Up a little bit, please. Yeah.
also heard comment about the mind, that the mind can, especially for situations where we actually are convinced the mind is not our friend yet. We can become a friend later, but it's not a friend yet. That we should treat the mind not only as a living, another entity, but like a stranger.
Ah, nice point.
This is like Maharaj to me that comment.
Bhakti Swami.
No,
Okay.
treating
Stranger.
the mind like a stranger. So when the mind suggests something, like a stranger that you don't know tells you something, are you going to act on it right away, or are you going to codify it and say, is this going to help me, before you act on it?
That's a
Or
nice
not.
point.
Yeah.
That's a nice point. Yeah, actually, when you said that, I was thinking, like we tell our kids, right? Don't go up to strangers. Don't talk to strangers. Don't go to the same thing. Yeah. So and why? Because we don't want our kid to get caught into the life of a stranger. To be cautious. So we have to teach the mind and treat like a stranger. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you. Any other takeaways from the women's side? Let me pick on the women because Saira, Haribol, I like that. We got a brave girl here. Good example.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A takeaway I got from this lecture was that how that the mind makes excuses all the time, on our wants and needs. And while you were saying that, I was also thinking about yesterday. I was just on Amazon sitting there because I'm not gonna lie about that. I was doing that, and then I was like, well, I could read my book because I have work for school, so I was thinking about doing that. And then sometimes the mind makes excuses oh, this assignment is due next week. I don't need to do it right now, right? So that's something I took away, that we need to practice on bringing our mind back and no, we can't scroll on TikTok or or whatever it is. That we have to we got to do what we got to do. So we have to bring our mind back together and
Nice. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, the mind is a rascal. And one thing that highlights are you mentioned a very strong word, and that is honesty. We have to be honest that we have that issue, and then we can catch it. Like she was honest to say, my God, this mind got me on this Amazon. And and I'm sure that Amazon is on everybody's taskbar. Is that what they call it on top of taskbar? Is that what they call it? Yeah. It's on everybody's taskbar on their laptops. It's right there. And then you go to Amazon, right? It's even on everybody's cell phone apps. I'm sure Amazon, and it goes there, right? Yeah. But are we honest? Because it can suck it. So the key word is honesty. We have to be honest that we have the weakness. If we are not honest, then we are faking it and we're lying to ourselves. We have to be honest. I have this weakness. I have this problem. And face it and deal with it. The more we put a band-aid over it, it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and become a big infestation. We have to be honest. I have this weakness. And another thing is that I tell, like me and my husband, when we have a challenge, I tell him. So he'll help me. You know, like for me, one of my biggest challenges is that when I start working and I'm on a project, it's like, I don't know when is lunchtime. Like I can just go. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't chant my Gayatri. He'll tell me, it's 12 o'clock, chant. I'm like, thank you. Because my mind is always running. So I must tell him, help me. If it's 12 o'clock, tell me. So again, we have to speak and ask someone, you know, I need help in this. I cannot hard stop. Help me to stop so I can do it. It's my honesty. Then he'll tell me, okay. Sometimes he'll call me from outside. Did he chant? I said, oh, thank you. Stop. Chant my Gayatri. We help each other. That is how we help each other. We have to be honest. I have this weakness and ask for help to help us to check ourselves. And that the more we get the help, then the more it becomes second nature. Very good point, Saira, is being honest with that we have this issue. I agree with you. Good point. One more from the ladies. Yes, Priya.
So all this time we have been telling, for lack of better words, mind is a rascal. Like, you know, it's trying us to make choices between right and not so right things. I would not say they're wrong, but not so right things. How do we train our mind to start giving us the right choices?
First, we have to recognize that the mind is deterring us. So it's like, lack of a better word, you're plugging the mind and putting on the table. I'm just being raw because that's what I have to do with myself. And then you tell your mind, okay, you're telling me to do something wrong, and I don't want to do it. And I'm weak. Be honest. I'm weak. So I'm going to get help to conquer you. And you ask for help. Anything, whatever, probably from your husband, probably from your friend, probably from, you know, whatever, and say, help me to conquer this, and remind me to conquer this. And the more we do that, again, we got to choose the right friend. Like I mentioned earlier, right? The right environment, the right friend, the right behavior. Once we have the right environment, the right person to help us, to get to do the right behavior, it becomes second nature. It's gonna take a few times. It's been months, my husband's story. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I I'm like, oh my God. You know, we'll need to have a habit, but once it becomes a habit, we won't need someone to help us. In fact, we will start building tools to be able to tell the mind to shut up. But we have to build the strength. So first it'll be weakness, but once we get stronger, we can literally, I guarantee you, we can come to the point where we'll see the mind going, you're like, nope, come back. We can literally watch the mind going on a trip. And you've got to pull it back. That's why Prabhupada says the mind can be a rascal, but we have to pull it back each time it goes off. Keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. We'll keep pulling gazillion, million, trillion, zillion, whatever time, but keep pulling, keep pulling. The more we pull, the more it's going to get under control. I hope that helped, Priya. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me your time. In fact, when I was preparing for this class, it was also a lesson for me to really see how we can have a business deal with the mind. Before we end the class, I would like to invite Jit Mitra up here. Many of you may or may not know that Jit Mitra Govindadas is actually the Sunday school teacher for the older kids, the high school kids. And he's the youngest Sunday school teacher, but he understands the minds of the high school children. And he has a couple of his students would like to share a short 5-minute presentation to the audience. And why are we doing this? One is to inspire the parents to see that if we get our kids on the right track to get to Jit Mitra's class, he'll make them even more powerful in what he's going to show. And number 2 is to also show the parents what the kids are learning in the high school. So Jit Mitra, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, so for today, Rohin and Achyut will be presenting what they have learned towards so we started Sunday school 3 weeks back. We have had 3 sessions so far. We have had 4 sessions, including today's. We have had 4 sessions. And I told them to pick one of the 4 and speak on it shortly, briefly, so that people know what are some of the things we are trying to teach. And hopefully that's also inspiring to the rest of the congregation as well. So, anyone want to start? Just to go up.
Both of you have to come up and face the congregation, not on the seats. Come.
Okay, so Hare Krishna everyone, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, and Jit Mitra Govindadas Prabhu for giving us this knowledge, because without you I don't think we would be here right now. Yeah, so we learned about one shloka, Shamodamastapashocham Kshantirarjavamevacha Jnanam Vijnanamastikyam Brahma Karma Svapavajam. So 18.42, yeah. So this shloka talks about the 9 qualities of a Brahmana, which include peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. And
amazing, all night.
yeah, so and these and brahmanas are usually meant for spreading Krishna consciousness or for the betterment of society. And we learned that because we should all
Kids, can you be a little quiet, please? Thank you.
And we learned because we should all accept a teacher to guide us, that when we accept a teacher or spiritual master, we should hear from them submissively and render service to them, because once we render service to them, that's our advancement in spiritual and material life. We should also learn to control our senses, because without controlling our senses, like the class today we heard about the mind, then we can't advance in either material or spiritual life. And when we all become teachers or role models for others to follow, then we should kind of see where their standards are and work with them and learn to kind of, for their betterment, and try to help them rather than just do our duty and teach and, just earn money or whatever you want to do, right? So, yeah, that's what we learned so far. And the teacher should meet the students where they are and try to help them to the best of their ability.
Hare Krishna. So another part of what we learned was that teachers have to be like brahmanas. They have to have the same qualities of brahmanas, because if you want to have good education, we can't just learn from anyone. So we're going to have to learn from people who are actually bona fide and have the certain knowledge that we need correctly. So us as children, we usually learn from example. So if our teachers are setting a good example from us, we have the right knowledge to learn from them, that we can act properly and engage that knowledge properly. And eventually, all of us will become teachers in the future, whether it be in school or like as a career, or just teaching our friend about something. All of us are going to be a teacher in some way. So it's important for us to have those qualities inside of us, the 9 qualities of a brahmana. And the teachers that we learn from should walk the talk, in a sense. They have to have that certain credibility to them. So instead of just preaching, we have to imbibe those qualities in ourselves and then teach by example. And usually in schools, it's not really taught that we have to have these values, these spiritual values in our life. Usually in school, it's just taught by skill and knowledge. But that's what's missing from the modern educational system. But in our Sunday school, we've been learning the value-based education and spiritual-based education, which helps in practical life applications and really helps us progress in life spiritually and meaningfully.
Very, very, very inspiring. These guys can give a class. What do you think? Amazing. Rohin and Achyut, very nice presentation, but I know that you not only gave a presentation, but you actually spoke from your heart. I can tell. You really understood the knowledge. And of course, thank you to your teacher, Jitmitra Govinda Das. So never underestimate the youth of Jitmitra. He's very knowledgeable, very, very, that's why he's the right teacher for these kids. Go ahead, Jitmitra.
Yeah, actually even I'm speechless. I didn't know that they would speak so much. But yeah, that's great. Yeah, I don't have anything more to add. It was very great. Like all the things they said, and Rohin memorized the verse. I had given this verse as a homework to memorize, and he just knew it. So
amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is what will happen to your children once they get to Jitmitra's class. So it's to all of you to see that this is the future. These young kids are our future. Like one of them mentioned, they'll be teachers, they'll be leaders, they'll be preachers. Perfect example. Thank you, Rohin. Thank you, Achyut. All glories to both of you. And to your teacher, Jitmitra Govinda Das ki jai. There you go. And if you need more information of what they spoke, please talk to Achyut and Rohin after class. Hare Krishna. And we'll get ready for Guru Puja. Hari Bol. And we all can come closer to the Vyasasana of Prabhupada and start the Guru Puja Arati. Come as closer as you can and let's assemble for the Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Bhagavad-gita. Jaya Guru Bhagavad-gita. Jaya Guru Bhagavad-gita. Guru Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pad Paramhansa Prabhupada Stotra Sattva Srimada's Divine Grace Asian Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhansa Prabhupada Stotra Sattva Srimada's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki ISKCON Founder Charya Sri Prabhupada Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sidvaita Gadadha Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktavindi Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jagannath Swami Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Dalita
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Chandra ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Jai. Want to welcome devotees to our Sunday program. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. It's so nice to see full house. You know what they say in the theaters, right? Full house, ticket sold. So we don't have ticket because it's free entrance. But it's nice to see a full house. And it's even more nicer to see everybody dancing. Because our lordships are dancing. They're one hand up, one hand down. And they love to dance. So it was very nice to see everybody dancing. Thank you so much for bringing your inspiration, your enthusiasm, your vigor, and your dancing skills to the temple. Hari Hari Bol. Few announcements. Want to announce next Saturday is Berg's Bhakti Yoga Janmashtami Prasad. It's the 11th annual, and they've been holding the fort for 11 years with amazing preaching, wonderful abhishek, wonderful performances, and awesome prasadam. So please, it starts at 4 p.m. American Standard Time. I have to say that because what happens is when we run late, then the whole program runs late, and then we wonder why it ends late, because we collectively caused it to start late. That's what it is. So if we come on time, then we all can leave on time, and we have a very good time, and no one gets held back to 1, 2, 3 in the morning. So let's be on time, 4 p.m. American Standard Time, this Saturday, October 7th. If you have not gotten the invitation evite, can you please see Dirkrishna Prabhu right there, and he will be happy to send you the evite, and it starts this coming Saturday. Please mark your calendars for that. The following weekend, we have a very nice program, Arjun Saka Prabhu from Seattle, Washington. And he is very well known among the young and the youth, and probably the old too. He really is a very good inspiration for the young people. And he will be here Sunday morning from 10 to 12. And he will have a session with all the youth ages 12 and up. 12 to 19 approximately. So if your kids are in that range, please do see Dear Krishna so that we can confirm your attendance. It's and parents don't have to stay for that. You can just drop your kid off and pick them up at 12 o'clock. But the wonderful thing is that they will be part of that, after the whole session, they'll have prasadam and they'll have kirtan for Nitai Gaura Chandra. That's another amazing thing. So please do drop the kids off from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., kids ages 12 through 19. I promise you, you will not regret it. There's only one condition to it, is whatever your kids learn, make sure they continue at home. It's not magic. So it's not like I drop my kids off, they learn the tools, and next day they become sadhus. We expect them to be that way. It's actually a learning experience. So when we drop the kids off, go home, ask them what they learned, and help them to continue at home, because it doesn't happen, they don't become sadhus overnight. They need a lot of help from the parents. But they will definitely benefit from this class. So please do drop them off. And the evening session at 4:30 will be with, again, Arjun Saka Prabhu, along with all the devotees, including the parents. And we request all the parents, whether your kid is 12 years, or 19, or 5, or in the womb, please come, because you will learn a lot. Sometimes we think, oh, my kid is not at age 12. And then the opportunity is there, and then we regret, oh my God, once the kids turn 12, they're like, I wish I went to the class because my kid ain't listening to me. So please, it's for parents of kids with all ages. Please come with your questions. It will be answered. And again, the condition is go back and apply it. Gyan to Vigyan. It doesn't stop at Gyan and ends there and the magic happens. But you will definitely benefit from the class. So please block your calendar for October 15th Sunday program with everybody, and morning session from 10 to 12 from kids ages 12 through 19, please. October 21st, where's my young people? They all ran away. Okay, the boys. I can't hear, I'm half deaf. Kirtan kickoff, Kartik kickoff. We have an 8-hour kirtan from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. on that day. There will be prasadam on both for lunch and dinner. We request everyone to please come support the youth. Whenever we have Kirtan Fest, it's put together by our youth. They make the calls, they make the emails, they make the connection, they beg, they plead, they cry, they email, they horn, they do everything. And for all that they do, the least that we can do is come out and support the young people. They got a lot of Kirtaniyas this year, and somehow they're going to fit them in because I think we got more than we expected a little bit, couple of more. So it's going to go probably past 8 o'clock. But please do come out. It's going to be an amazing Kartik kickoff. It's a very nice opportunity for us to get into 8 hours of chanting. Just sit and hear the holy name in a sublime atmosphere and really soak in the holy name. That's the whole power of making the mind your friend. Is the more we chant and hear the holy name, it becomes our friend. So please do join us on October 21st. And of course, we are trying to finalize the Kartik programs, which we will finalize and let you guys know next week. But one thing that I would like to share is yesterday our book team had a book team event out at Carlisle Silver Spring Fest from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Amazing turnout. This year, our youth had half an hour stage performance of Kirtan. Amazing. So much so. Now, what is so interesting is that the organizer, when they came out, they told the kids, "You're done? Is that it? That's all?" They was kind of sad. So next year, we got 2 half hours left. Amazing opportunity. And they distributed 40 books of Srila Prabhupada. And like we heard Achyut and Rohin with a beautiful check-in, right? I've said this before, but I would love to say it again, and with humility and pride, I would say, that yesterday, when we were wrapping up the stalls, and myself, Prasad, Saurabh, the few guys, we couldn't find Nitya Gopal and Rohin anywhere. They just vanished in thin air. And someone said that they both went, it was Rohin's idea. How old are you, Beta? 18, okay. It was Rohin's idea to go stall by stall and check in with the stall vendors and see how to give books. So he took an adult, Nitya Gopal, and they came back and gave out 7 books. This young boy gave out 7 books. And now the other part just blew my mind, was when we were packing everything up, and he comes to the back and he asks his dad, "Do you have a Gita in English?" I said, "Why do you want?" "Oh, that family wants it." And he was still preaching while we were packing. That is Rohin Havre for you. This is the training that we want our youth to become. This is the future of Prabhupada's army. This is the future. The least that we can do is be there for them, support them, guide them, love them, hug them, empower them, teach them, and they will blossom just like this. Amazing. Amazing. You blow my mind. Actually, I have to say that I actually told about you to our GBC, and he said to me, "I want to meet this young man when I come the next time." And on the Harinam side, what we do is whenever we have book distribution, we have the Harinam team because it works very well side by side. And of course, the girls are not here, but the whole Harinam planning was put together and organized by Manu Harini and Ishika. 6 hours straight. They winged it, they had to do double slots, they did it, and they rocked it. And I remember Ishika said, "Now I know what's it like to organize just 6 hours of chanting," and say, "Welcome to the club." But they did an awesome job. Awesome job. So please, the youth are our future. We have to be there for them. I say it over and over again because they are going to take over the Prabhupada's army. So we need to train them, teach them, guide them, empower them, and be tolerant. And they will learn. They will grow. And we have to be present for them, in person, not just by Okay, Skype is no longer a thing, right? It's still there? Okay, we'll say Zoom. You know, we cannot do Zoom anymore, you know, we have to be in person. So please encourage the young people, and we hope to see more and more presentations. Achut, awesome. You threw in a lot of good words. Very nice, very nice. Inspiration for the future. Thank you so much. So now we will, before we conclude, we will have the prasadam prayers. And right now, if you see, the teachers are actually training the young kids how to give the flowers around, how to, yes. Oh, thank you. Every Monday, we have a program called Bhakti Lounge. What is Bhakti Lounge? It's a very informal, open space discussion of Krishna consciousness. Anybody who is new, who have questions, who have either been practicing for 15,000 years, or 15 days or 15 minutes. You're welcome to come to this program every Monday evening at 6 o'clock in the temple. I think there are 4 or 5 people. It's a very informal setting. It's very informal that it's so sweet that you can share anything and everything and get answers. I think that you were here last Monday, right? It was such a beautiful event, a gathering. So if you have an interest to be part of this gathering, you have questions, you want to know more, you want to go deeper, you want to really learn how to balance material and spiritual, you have unanswered questions, please come to the Bhakti Lounge every Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a beautiful space. We have 4 or 5 devotees, they come here, they meet, they have prasadam, they have kirtan, they have arati, and then they just have a blast. And they're very, very, very present. So please do join 6:30 to 8. 6:30 to 8. So yes. And as we said, we are training the young people, the young kids, to do small little services. Encourage them to do it at home, not just once a week. Like we said, out of the 168 hours, not just 1 hour, they have to do it more often. So please train them at home so they get into the habit. And now Swana Gauranga is going to have one of the kids do the prasadam prayer. So it's all you.
Dhruv going to sing the prasadam prayer.
Mahaprasadam Govind Navami Visham Savajiriya Patava Vishwasonai Vidyayate Shariya Vidyan Jordan Jiva Taheka Jiva Tali Talamati Jiva
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Nitya Gopal Prabhu got some Tulsi Maharanis. So if you want, anyone wants to keep them at home, so you can have it.
So much of energy is there, no?